What's up, y'all? So I had to pull over and set my phone up on this little thing this little phone holder I have. I'm YouTube Live. I'm driving around. I'm gonna go get some lunch. I'm out to lunch. In the dream. All this. I just saw this video. Jay joking around about retiring. Pretty funny stuff. It was not actually on his YouTube channel. It's one of his fan accounts. And yeah, that was pretty funny. So Jay Dyer's probably the only YouTuber I've consistently watched for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And he was saying that he's just kind of moving on as far as, what kind of content he does, and I get, if you ever see this, that makes sense. It's kind of like beating the dead horse. The horse is dead. Just beating it. Why is it when any guy fucking goes live, it's like everything that comes out of his mouth, he's like, I don't want it to sound gay. I don't want them to fucking fuck with my videos. It's like that for females too. You could see like content creators and stuff, when they say something sexual, you see them kind of for a second like, oh shit, that kind of sounded sexual. It happens in real life too, even when you're not doing content. Kind of funny, but when you're recording it, anyways, okay. So yeah, dude, I get it, because when you're going live debating the same topics over and over again with people that are bringing up same points over and over again, it gets a little redonkulous. Does. I'm just gonna say the best Dyer, the best Dyer I ever saw was he had his beats going, his music going, and he was just rapping to and just making fun of esoteric stuff. That, man, I don't know if that live is out there somewhere in the archives, but that was hilarious. That was the peak. Priest. Dude, that shit was fucking hilarious. I can't do it, obviously. I can't esoteric rap like he can, because he's on it with the topic, so he's been discussing that shit for so long. He knows what to say, but and also on a serious note, like, this stupid fucking kid with the fucking bicycle part. The kid's like, dude, you're on a bicycle, bro, and you're like 13 years old. He's fucking just stopped behind the car, like waiting for the car. It's like, dude, man, when I was 13, fuck, I had. So Dyer, man, it's crazy. Yeah, you should drop those debates, dude. They're not edifying to a certain point, I mean, we could only make fun of Mormons and Scientology for sort of, I don't know, raw or something. It's like, it just, I mean, it's to say over and over. It gets a little old. Here, and he's, like he says, he's brought up so many good points. He's had so many good debates. It's like beating the dead horse. It's like beating the dead horse. The Catholics are like, Christ gave St. Peter the key to the church, which doesn't say anything about a pope or anything about being infallible. It's just like, yeah, it does say that Christ gave St. Peter the key to the church. It was based in Rome, his what's up, talking about Jay Dyer and Catholicism. So yes, Christ did give St. Peter the keys to the church, and Peter was based in Rome, but said nothing about papacy and being infallible, so they kind of just ran with that. So Jay Dyer's been on dozens of debates, with Catholics, and running in circles, beating a dead horse. I can see why he wants to move on with his content, or doing different content, because it gets old, man. But man, we've had fun though, man, on some of those lives, like Drunk Mom. Come on. Dude, that shit was classic. There's been some magic moments on the Dyer debates. Drunk Mom, she's like, who are you? Who the fuck are you? Who are you? Oh my gosh. And then I remember too, he debated this Catholic Catholics, every denomination has a sort of demeanor or a stature. And you could tell, I could tell kind of like who's Orthodox Christian without even them saying anything about it. You could just tell kind of who's Catholic, who's Mormon. It's kind of like a group conscious, a beehive mentality. Of course, there's always going to be rogue and black sheep members in each community. But I just remember him debating this Catholic, and the Catholic was doing the whole, like, I'm going to be super nice and be, like, super polite and act like I'm super interested in everything he's saying, and not very argumentative at all, but, I mean, moving forward, Jay Dyer obviously has attained some skills going live and debating. So, I totally get it that he doesn't want to just continue debating, but sorry, I know it's 12:48, but I kind of just woke up and I haven't eaten, so I'm going. My brain wheels are just starting to spinning, and I'm actually really busy today. I have a 12-hour work day. I haven't eaten lunch, so I'm not really. My brain is still starting to spin. Oh, you know what? While I'm live, I am dropping a instrumental. I'm dropping it in 27th, and it's awesome. I think it's probably one of the best pieces I've ever done. I'll be dropping a promo video to my instrumental tomorrow. 5 minutes and seconds. It's a 5-minute and 20-second instrumental, and I will drop a promo tomorrow. But I just wanted to go live and say thank you, Jay Dyer. So many hours of retardedness, and I say that in a good way because, there has been. He said something. He's sick of. He says basically no one's really up to par for like a genuine debate, whether it's whatever, Muslim, Mormon. He says he feel like he's taken it all, like he's just everything that these people could throw at him, it's it, it's just. So I mean, there's been some good debates with some Mormons and with some Muslims. There's been like a few good debates with a few Muslims, Catholics, and Mormons, Protestants, but more often than not, the debates are funny. They're just funny, and that's why I think what he's feeling is it's just not like edifying. You're having the same conversations over and over again, and the people that are in these cult religions, they're not going to leave, man. It's like what Jack Nicklaus said in The Departed. He says, being Catholic is only a way of saying we have one another, meaning it's a community. I think most Catholics would admit that some of their stuff in their catechumen classes are maybe not biblically correct, or they could probably admit that some of their teachings don't line up with orthodoxy, and they will even admit it, but it's just their group, it's their community. Like Mormons, I almost thought about actually becoming a Mormon just because it's a pretty good group of people, and so that sometimes out trumps correct dogma. When you have, it's just like music. There could be a band and they're not even really that good, but their vibe is so good and they're so cool and their concerts are cool, and it's just like the energy's good. And even though they might have maybe a shitty drummer, or the singer's really not that great, or the songs are not really that interesting, but the vibe of the band is so good, so you want to go support that band. That's kind of how it is with faulty religions, where some of their shit is incorrect, but they're not going to leave their groups for that. So I think Jay Dyer's kind of sensing that, and I would like to see Jay Dyer get into interviewing, maybe. I know he interviewed the Gothic Orthodox girl the other day. I think, because I think Jay Dyer maybe needs a break from talking a little bit. He's probably feeling like burnout, no offense. He's incredible debater, master debater. He's incredible at that. And he's a great Orthodox apologist. He's really good, but I mean, he's been going 7 or 8 years steadily on all this. So he wants to freshen it up a little bit, and I totally understand that. And I think Jay Dyer might be good at interviewing all different types of people. Maybe interviewing musicians, or I don't know, something not religious, and give it a break. Just be like the guy that interviews fucking musicians, because he's definitely level-minded. He's easy to talk to. He doesn't really bullshit, it seems like, too much, but he's also funny. He's a funny dude. Oh, that's so funny. He's funny. He's cool. I was yesterday I was driving around and I tuned into Jay Dyer's live, and I didn't know he knew so much about music, and when I heard him talk about music, it was almost, I think he could keep up, in a conversation with seasoned musicians. We kind of have our own language, music talk. I know it sounds funny sometimes, and some of it might not make sense to people that are not musicians, but we get it. We understand what we're saying, even though it could get a little goofy and abstract. But anyways, he was talking about metal, how he's not really into scream metal, and I'm not either. And I came from a punk rock background. So in the 80s, you're kind of into punk rock, metal, or new wave. There was 3 genres really to get into. Or I guess hair metal too, which would fall under metal. But anyways, he brought up a lot of points, that I agree with. I've never been a huge fan of hardcore scream metal or hardcore metal, because it seems like, as far as the musicianship goes, it's just almost like a sport. Who could shred faster? And to me, music's not a sport. Music is an artistic manifestation. It's hey, what's up, Daniel? Music it's not a sport, where sports, it's who can perform better, where music, it's different. It's not like who can shred the quickest and play the most difficult drum part that's almost unhumanly possible to understand or play. And I have friends that are into metal. One of my best friends, Drew, he's a total metalhead. And he's been in a bunch of metal bands, and I respect the musicianship and the creativity and the discipline aspect of creativity. Sorry, I fucking stuttered and dropped off 5 viewers. It's I'm sorry. No, but really, I respect metal. don't get me wrong, I respect metal, but metal's probably one of my least favorite genres. I would actually say I like R&B even more than metal. Metal's low. Now, my stepdad, who raised me and taught me how to play guitar, he was a full-on metalhead. So I have metal influences in my music. Even though I don't listen to scream metal, it's still, I grew up, listening to Iron Maiden, learned how to play the Trooper when I was like 8 years old. Ride the Lightning was one of my first cassettes I bought at Tower Records. So I listened to metal and it was probably some of my earliest influences. But when I got into punk rock, I liked the vibe, the spirit of punk rock way, way, way more than metal. I heard mainstream punk rock like Green Day, Offspring, and then, Metallica, Iron Maiden, White Zombie. I heard all the mainstream stuff. And then when my aunt Sasheen, memory eternal, rest in peace, she gave me a punk rock compilation. And then I heard like the Casualties and the Addicts and just X-Ray Specs and the Business and just like all this like hardcore punk rock from the 80s. And I was like, I like this stuff so much better, only hearing mainstream music like Green Day and Offspring and stuff, and then the Subhumans, and you're like, as a 12-year-old, I was like, oh man, I like, underground punk rock music way more than mainstream metal or anything like that. So anyways, back to Jay Dyer. I heard him talk about why he doesn't like metal, and I agree with a lot of that points, and I'm like, damn man, you know some shit. And I thought it was funny how he says he likes like EDM and what grown ass man says he likes techno. It's funny to hear someone say I like techno music. It's just probably like one of the dumbest, lamest things you could ever say to anyone, especially on YouTube. I like techno. It's just okay. So I used to not respect EDM and techno, but I do now. There's a lot more that goes into it than you would think, and that's because I've started programming my own drum beats, and I don't play techno or anything, but I've done some electronic instrumentals, and you could really dial in on some of that stuff. You could really do a lot with creating EDM music and techno and stuff. It's also oh man, I think we got my first Franco family. Oh man, sorry dude. So I don't know, I think there's a lot more that goes into EDM than you would think. I know Jay Dyer has I know he amped up. Jay Dyer is this little person that I just deleted that dude's comment. That's so funny to do, to delete someone's comment. I know the YouTubers that have thousands of people that watch them and a lot of subscribers, which I don't. They have somebody that deletes the comments and kind of monitors the chat room. I think that's hilarious. I don't know why. I think it's funny to see these comments just disappear. So anyways, Jay Dyer's live was good for, when he's talking about metal and stuff. And I could totally understand why he would want to move on from fruitless debates that just seem to go in a circle. And even when you hear a lot of his debates, he'll bring up, he'll counter, he'll give a rebuttal, to somebody's viewpoint. and they don't really like answer him directly, then he has to ask it again. I mean, that's got to be a little stressful, you know. It's funny for us watching it to see them like run around in circles and shit. It could be entertaining, but it's got to be negative. I mean, it's got to be negative. Just warming up, y'all, with my coffee. I'm about to wrap it up here, though. I do have shit to do. Yeah, Jay, I don't think you should give up. You know, you've built a... I've said this before. You've built a gigantic following for debating Catholicism and Orthodox Christian apologists. I mean, to have over 100,000 subscribers and to talk about those topics is actually really impressive. So I think you should just kind of shift directions a little bit and get into like interviewing musicians and just maybe, take a break from the religious debates. I mean, they're exhausting. Bro, what is good? The coffee's good. The weather's good. It's a little hot. I'm in North Arizona and it's getting a little toasty, to say the least. So I have my AC on and I'm about to jam out here to work shortly. And I'm gonna grab some lunch first. That's what's good. And I'm talking about how there's no longer going to be doing religious debates, which I think is great, because I think he's kind of gone as far as he could go with that. He's a YouTuber probably nobody's heard of, but someone I've been watching for probably like 5 or 6 years. So it's kind of, it's cool when you hear people that want to do different things in life, like content creators that want to do different types of content. It just gets fucking old, man. I mean, how many content creators, they do the same stupid shit over and over again, it's basically they're putting themselves out on the line just to get, 500,000 views and 50,000 likes. It's like a high. It's like a drug. Anything else, they want to get that dopamine rush, and I don't know. I think being an influencer is probably one of the lamest jobs. It's basically telling the world you're a quitter, and hostage by the group opinion. But at the same time, I think it's one of the most balls. I mean, to be an influencer, you're basically saying you don't give a fuck about yourself at all. Especially these young cats, they got kind of brainwashed and manipulated into being influencers at like 17 and 18 years old, and then they kind of never really found their path, and now they're like 24, 25, 26, and they're just stuck with all their stupid up there forever, and it's just going to be forgotten and nobody even really gives a shit. They kind of like life. That's how I look at it anyways. Living through the lens of other people, living your life determined on being qualified by the group conscious, which is completely, secular. It's not. Look, I would rather be a wealthy businessman that nobody's ever heard of than be liked by a bunch of fucking brainwashed people and be some kind of be some sort of clown for the world. I remember I wanted to date an influencer for a while, and now I'm so glad that I didn't, I mean, that would, like, to date an influencer, that would be a whole existence. It's just weird. It's so weird, Yeah, it's weird though, but at the same time, I noticed like celebrities. I've noticed like influencers are kind of like the new celebrities, and I know a lot of celebrities are trying to do content and stuff, and they're trying to break into the world of social platforms, and a lot of times they'll collab with influencers and stuff. But even though I don't think highly of influencers, I don't think they're really going anywhere. You know, I think social platforms are here, and I think it's manipulative and it's a dark thing to get involved in. I think being an influencer is like being a drug dealer or like a gambler. I don't think, or like a prostitute. You know, they're basically brand whores. They turn into brand whores, and they're held hostage by the conscience. You know, and I don't think it's, you know, being an influencer, I feel like, what Reynolds? What do you got to say to hear it? We don't got a lot of people watching. Nothing? Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I know, you probably came in at an unusual time. Yeah, no, I was just talking about Jay Dyer and some other random topics about music and stuff for a quick short while. I do appreciate the comments. Okay, you guys take care, man. You guys have a good day and stay blessed, and one day at a